Hey everyone, and welcome back to Pitch the Podium. This is me, Soman Arora here, and today let's have a little bit of a chat about experiments. Now, we're not going to be speaking about those that you do in the chemistry lab with all your suits and your gloves and masks and things like that. Today, we're going to be speaking about experiments in the world of Formula One and potentially what the sport could do to keep things a little more exciting and a little more attractive for all the fans. And to discuss that, I've got Kunal Shah with me. Well, firstly, hey Kunal, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. And since you said I just removed my chemistry lab suit, and now I'm going to just put on my hat to wonder what are the experiments Formula One could run in 2020. And, being science geeks, I'm going to put it out there. There are actually very limited variables that Formula One can play with. So there are the circuits, there are tires, and then there are drivers. Now, drivers and cars you don't really mess with because, you don't want Lewis Hamilton to race anything but a Mercedes. But when it
Absolutely.
comes to circuits and when it comes to tires, they're definitely trying a few things, right? And the other, of course, part is trying to bring some of the other, junior formula racing. They have certain rules out there, like you can drop your worst result and so on. So Formula One is definitely trying a few things to make sure racing remains interesting. But Somil, most importantly, what are your views on reverse grids?
Yeah, that's what. Let's get the elephant out of the room first. Reverse grids. Well, a lot of people are saying, and naturally, rightfully so, that they will make for a lot of exciting races. So, say if you have a Lewis Hamilton and not Vettel now, but let's say Charles Leclerc starting on row 20, and if row 10, I'm so sorry, and if these guys are starting all the way back and they have to make their way up the grid, fighting past all these midfield cars, I think it definitely should make for a very fun race. But let's actually come back to the ethos and the spirit of Formula One. And the spirit of Formula One is to make sure that the best drivers and the best car wins. So it's a bit like Test cricket and T20 cricket. So you don't really want a power play in a Test match. So you don't want to fiddle around with the whole essence of things. And naturally, the idea of Formula One is to make sure that it's a meritocracy. People are qualified, and people are judged, and people are awarded points on the basis of merit. So reverse grid, I think the reason why it works in junior Formula Series is because it's a good way to test out the overtaking ability of a driver. Now, if you say someone like a Charles Leclerc back in Formula 2, and you usually have a very good qualifying record, how will Ferrari understand that you're a good passer if you constantly qualify in P1 or P2? So those sort of things work in junior Formula to try and give out a better idea about the younger drivers. But I don't think it should happen in Formula One. I think it just messes around and tinkers with the real essence and the spirit of the sport, which, as Toto Wolff has correctly mentioned, is not the correct thing to do at this point. I don't think we can sacrifice the spirit of Formula One, what the sport is all about, just for the sake of more exciting races, which we may actually get with the new cars.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. This because if you had an alternative view, I would have said that's it. This is the last video of the Pitch the Podium show. But I agree. I think it's a bit of a gimmick, and as Formula One wishes to experiment, the last thing I want to do is make sure the sport is gimmicky because to me the DRS is anyway one big massive gimmick that opens and closes every time and gives
Absolutely.
us farcical.
That's a good point right there.
Yeah, but just for all you guys to know, the governance of how Formula One is deciding rules is changing over 2020 and 2021. So right now, if Toto Wolff says no, I don't want reverse grids, it means that Mercedes has said no, and hence the rule won't be passed. But starting 2021, the governance will sort of change to a structure where one team saying no might not stop Formula One from actually bringing forward a change to a sporting or regulation or so on. So we might still just see Formula One try reverse grids, and I'm not a fan of it either. And since they're so hell bent on trying something, I think one of the older formats that I would really want to give a shot at was the knockout qualifying, or the current one is called the elimination based qualifying, but knockout qualifying, which I think lasted for 2 races and then we reverted back to the current format. I think that's something we could probably, have a go at once again.
Yeah, knockout qualifying it seemed like a rather dismal idea when it was first implemented. And yeah, I think if we tinker with things just a little bit better, so if we try and have that sort of, like we have in the NBA, so you've got a certain shot clock. You can have only a certain amount of time before you go on and put your shot in. So maybe something like that, a bit more of a thoughtful plan and a more thoughtful structure surrounding the knockout qualifying should make it a whole lot more fun to watch out for. And again, coming back to qualifying, I don't think it makes any sense to have the long 60-minute qualifying runs because in the end, we only have people coming in and giving the laps in the last moments because of the track evolution and things like that. So maybe knockout could be way forward, not the 60-minute short qualifying sessions. And one thing I'd really want to see is group qualifying. So group qualifying is there in Formula E. I think if you're only looking at gimmicks at this stage, frankly, just to maintain the ethos of Formula One, I wouldn't want to see group qualifying either. But if you're just so bent on trying to get gimmicks in, I think the Formula E method of putting in the top contenders, like a positive feedback loop, when you've got the top people being put in the first group, which goes out initially, and who are a bit more hindered and more hampered, so to say, by the changing track conditions, something like that could make the sport a bit more interesting. Of course, it's not the most, it's not the ideal meritocratic situation where you've got the best people in the best cars getting the best results, but it should make things a whole lot more exciting. It should mix things up.
I agree. And, one of the other things that Formula One really tried and everyone wanted was to go racing in the reverse on existing circuit,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Especially for the second race and so on. But I understand why that's not as easily possible to execute in, as it is to just state it in theory, because it's not just about, turning around how the cars go and go reverse. It's about changing the barriers and and the way they've sort of planned the
Exactly.
whole rigging of the circuit and the likes. So, from a time and a money point of view, and remember, money is going to be tough to find in 2020. I understand why Formula One aren't necessarily, going down the road of driving in reverse, because that's the easiest thing that they could, in theory, do, right? What do you think
Yeah.
about going and driving in reverse? I mean, I don't mean putting a reverse gear in the car and going backwards, but facing the other way and driving like we do in, all the simulator games.
Yeah. Actually, McLaren had a series called Tool, where they had a particular episode where Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button, they actually raced each other around a secret test track inside the NPC in reverse. So that's something that's been tried before in the comic fashion. But actually, coming back to the more serious thing, imagine the last corner of Suzuka. Now, driving it in a simulator, it's just very normal if you go around it in the regular fashion. It's a fast right-hander, nothing to worry about. Just make sure that you don't want to get on the grass. But if you do it in reverse, you have this such a long left-hand corner. It's a supremely fast one, and that leads up to the chicane. And you're constantly turning while braking. So Formula One cars, of course, with the ABS issue and everything, drivers may not be able to tackle that corner very properly. And although it may be easy to say, okay, you can just take Suzuka in reverse, who cares about it? But the safety point, as you mentioned, the barricades and understanding things like that, the marshal post and things, other things, it could just make it an unnecessary complication. So
Yeah.
the final corner at Suzuka, the right way around, is a fairly safe corner, nothing to worry about. But the wrong way around, imagine that. Imagine if you have an accident over there at, say, 272, 90 kilometers per hour. It could be a fairly expensive one, and hopefully not, but it could be a major risk to safety. So that sort of thing is going to be very tough to execute.
Yeah,
But
and
Kunal, another idea.
it's great
I'll go after you.
it's great you are explaining this, because
Yeah,
this is what actually goes into understanding why it's not as easy to just drive in reverse, because circuits have been designed to drive in a particular direction.
indeed,
Good. The next
indeed.
thing that Formula One is going to experiment with, which thankfully is happening, is tires. Like we know, for the second race at Silverstone, the 70th Grand Prix anniversary, they're bringing a softer compound and so on. I'm not sure how much is going to change things, but they're all worried that, at the second race, the Friday free practice teams are going to sit in the garages because they have all the data. But, Saumil, to me, the strange part is that all along, nobody has bothered if the first race of a double header is going to be boring. Everyone's just talking of, hey, the second race could be boring and predictable. But guys, what about the first race? The first
Exactly.
race could still be as boring as, the 2019 French Grand Prix, if I may put it that way.
Oh, no, 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 no. That race just brings a headache to your mind whenever you think about that. But that is a proper concern. So if you just look back at the recent IndyCar races and NASCAR races that have gone on, IndyCar did a race at Texas. And okay, the tire compound that they laid down at Texas, the rubber compound to make sure the NASCAR cars were a bit more grippy, certainly had a say in making the race a lot more duller. But because the drivers were a lot more rusty, and because the engineers, they didn't really have a really good idea because I hadn't driven the cars for such a long time. It just made the race a bit of a drag. And it normally never happens. IndyCar at Texas, it just makes for such a fantastic finish. It's a fast speedway, you've got good racing action, and all of a sudden you just had 300 miles of boring racing. So maybe you could see drivers just going a little bit too cautious, being a bit more conservative because these Formula One cars, they surely don't come cheap. And they don't want to see those cars ending up in just a crash or something like that in the barriers. So that should be one thing to watch out for. Drivers just going a little bit too cautious to try and manage things. So yeah, we could be seeing some boring racing on the way, but at least it's racing, and that's one thing that helps us out. But Kunal, one thing I'd like to discuss is something that we can pick up from MotoGP is that what they've implemented, I think, a couple of years ago, is a good, effective way to penalize riders for making mistakes, like crashing with someone else or cutting a corner, with a new thing called long lap penalties. So, do you think that can be introduced into Formula One in the coming years?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be introduced in Formula One, of course. And the question is how many circuit layouts actually have a differentiated lap that can sort of be taken and so on, right? So it will be interesting to see how Formula One sort of brings forward these experiments in the time to come. Another thing Ross Brawn also mentioned, which we touched upon at the start, was, for allowing teams and drivers to drop their worst result. But again, in
Oh,
Formula One, that could induce some different types of gamesmanships as well, right? So I'm pretty glad that they are taking their time, investigating and researching further, rather than just saying that's it. From tomorrow we'll have knockout qualifying, and or from the next race there's double points for the last race and the likes. And I'm sure
exactly.
you guys know where I'm going with this. I'm just happy that they're taking their time. But Somil, to me, the one experiment that they should do, in 2020, given that it's been such a different season, is that we should have a race on a Wednesday late afternoon, evening. Okay, we should
Hmm.
ditch the Sunday format. In my view, that could actually bring more viewers to Formula One in the time to come. Okay, because a lot of other sports also choose weekday telecasts, and we should actually put out those Wednesday races on free-to-air channels. So use this as a medium to sort of bring in more viewers, newer viewers to Formula One, and then even use those Wednesday races to run all these different tests like reverse grids and the likes, and see how things actually pan out. Now, I know it's a lot of ask, but to me, I think using 2020 as a test bed would be a fantastic time, because we don't know if and when, and when a pandemic like this would bring a natural pause to our sport.
No, indeed. I think that's a good idea. Even if you look at, say, sports like the Premier League, even they recently have had introduced a lot of weekday matches because they know that at those points of time, when you're coming back from work, when you're very, very tired, you just want to switch on the TV, put some live sport on, maybe grab a beer, put your legs on the chair, and just have a good time, watch your sport, and enjoy the game. But again, there's a catch with that. As much as it would help out to put it on free-to-air TV, managing the timings when we're out of a situation of a lockdown is going to be very tricky. We already know on a Sunday how tricky it is to try and match up the timings. Let's say in a Mexico City, we here in India, we have to watch the race at what 2:30 in the night, and for the people in Europe, it's a fairly decent time most of the times. The Australians have to struggle for every single race weekend to try and find a decent time for the races. So that the global timing thing can be a bit of a mess, but again, I think the lockdown period is the best way to try things out because people are free. They're at home. And if, say, something like Formula One pops up, which is such a big passion for all of us, we can't care about our work. We'll keep it aside, be it Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, whatever day it is. If Formula One is on TV, it's a good way to try and experiment things, try to figure out, because the sport we love has been away for such a long time. Just watching it be on any day will help out a lot. Again, the lockdown and this sort of the sort of stagnant period that we're seeing in the world of sport these days can help out in experimenting things. It's going to be a bit tricky to find out. But again, there's no harm in trying, is there?
I agree. I mean, between the two double headers, you'll have all the assets available to do
Yeah,
a test, all the
exactly.
drivers, all the teams, and so on. Of course, for those who understand the business of Formula One, will be like, these guys are crazy. There is no money in doing tests. There is no money or points available for Wednesday races and so on. But the fact is, the pandemic has forced all of us to think differently, to rethink lives, to rethink the way we do things, and why not in the world of Formula One? And to me, the biggest aspect that F1 should try is free-to-air TV, because, like you mentioned just before we were recording, that IndyCar and NASCAR got some, really high ratings for
Yeah,
their telecast.
yeah.
And, the same could be for Formula One, a bigger sport, a more global sport, and the like. So lots of things to consider for Formula One. And I'm happy that, we have Liberty Media at the forefront, trying to make sure that they bring on a new recipe each time to all the fans who are so desperately waiting for action to resume.
No, absolutely. That's the thing that's changed. Now that the ownership of Formula One has differentiated, instead of being more of a dictatorship under Mr. E, I mean, I'm not saying it's for the good or bad. At least we're having things being taken a bit more slowly, trying to understand the real essence of it, trying to figure out the way it can actually go. And then that's how the decisions are being taken. But Kunal, on the whole, I think it's a good comprehensive list of topics that we've discussed, and hopefully it can be a good year 2020 to try on new things for Formula One and perhaps change the sport for the better in the longer term.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm going to leave my best for the last. For me, the best trick would be letting drivers select what car they're going to race using a token system, because that's what we do at a rental go-karting circuit. I know this will never happen, okay, but can we just imagine, we don't know who's going to be in which car, and hence we don't know what's going to be the outcome of that race at that weekend. And what if a Hamilton ends up being in a Williams, and then we still see him being as quick as he can be?
Yeah.
And you know, all those various permutations that we keep discussing. What if you put Vettel in XYZ and Max Verstappen in ABC and the likes? And that may very well happen. I know this will, again, never happen from a technical point of view. But since we're talking experiments, you know, sometimes you just end up with a concoction which blows up in your face. And that's what this is going to be for me.
Exactly. And even something like fixed setups or fixed stars or something like that. There's so many permutations and combinations that Formula One can actually do. Not that many of them would make sense on a financial point of view. But again, just because we're speaking experiments, there's so much to do over here, Kunal.
Yes, likewise. And we keep experimenting with our videos as well. And there's always new content on the Pits to Podium show. So if you guys like our content, please subscribe to the channel as well. And thanks so much for joining me on yet another video, Saumil. And guys, we will see you at another video soon.
See you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.